All right. Welcome. I'm April from The Moon is My Calendar, and this is a video about the full moon in Aries, and specifically through the lens of elemental astrology. So I'm going to share just in a way to help us be in relationship with what is Aries, how is Aries, who is Aries, why is Aries, through visual language and through myth and through seasonal connections. Okay, so to begin with, astrology is a way of naming time, and there are many astrologies. So in tropical Western astrology, naming the signs is a way of naming the seasons and a seasonal relationship. Aries is associated with the spring equinox. So that time when the sun is said to be in Aries is around the spring equinox. Now I'm recording this video around the fall or autumnal equinox, and the full moon is in Aries. So there's this inherent balance and rebalancing of polarities. So the new moon in Aries is in the spring, the new moon closest to the spring equinox. And the full moon in Aries is in the fall, the full moon closest to the fall equinox. New moon in Aries in the spring because the sun is in Aries, and the new moon is always in the same sign as the sun. Pause that if that isn't something that you've had the light bulb go off on before. The new moon is always in the same sign as whatever the sun is in. So that season of Aries in the spring. The full moon then is in the sign sort of opposite or opposed or about six signs apart. So the full moon happens in the season of Libra, which is the polarity, the duality that balances out with Aries. So Libra and Aries are like their own partnership and their own journey of integration. So I'm going to share a little bit about these themes. And so one thing to say is this is Northern Hemisphere. What I'm describing is Northern Hemisphere based. It's the flip for Southern Hemisphere. So right now, this season of Libra is the springtime. And so the themes are there with the full moon and new moon. They're flipped. Another way of seeing or understanding or sensing into this wholeness of opposites, such as the northern and southern hemispheres. Okay, so who is Aries? What is Aries? I'm going to start, I think I'll just start visually because that's how I experience and how I began to have a felt sense in the body, an embodied experience of something that can otherwise be a lot of words and language to describe the different signs. Okay, so this year that I'm recording this, 2023, there were two new moons back to back in Aries. One was at 0 degrees and the other was towards the end. So every sign goes from 0 degrees up till 29 point or whatever degrees, 59 arc minutes. So there's a span. So there's, even with every sign, there's degrees of that sign. So what is the very beginning of Aries? And for me, this was my interpretation and visual expression of the elemental archetype, the elemental energy, really, of this first degree of Aries. So it's the fire at the beginning. It's the spark of life. It's like the energy of the friction before the Big Bang. So that building. And it's the energy of spring. So the later degrees of Aries, the second new moon, this was the from that initial seed, portal opening of the fire, then what comes out of that and what is birthed over the degrees of Aries. So this is the sign of Aries is this kind of V shape, this growing opening It's also the shape of the ram's horns, because Aries is personified, characterized, expressed through the energy of the ram. Now, this is another way then of how to sense or feel into that, again, within the body. That's what I offer through the way that I teach and the way that I share, is how to bring this into an embodied experience. With the ram, there is a butting of heads. There's a head first. Again, even with something like with birth, and I know not everybody is birthed head first, but here is this yoni portal into life of being like coming through head first. And so with the horns then of butting heads, or it doesn't necessarily need to be about conflict, but it's like going for it in this fiery way that there is with tapping into the energy of Aries, is this confidence to blaze your own path. I was like looking up at this light here, and I'm like, my laptop's here, and then the camera's here and the light's here. Aries is also related to the face and the eyes, so it's what you like see really first about somebody. It's first impressions. It's like the initial anything that initiates, really initiations. That is the energy of Aries. It is a cardinal fire, so it's like the most fiery of fire. It's the most fiery that fire can be, because it starts and it initiates and it gives that spark. If you've been around for here with the moon is my calendar for a while, or if you took courses, especially the moon mandala circles early on, you know that I shared a lot with the creative fire, the lecture by Dr. Clarissa Pinkola Estes, which I will link to. It's like an audiobook, but there's no book. It's the lecture. It's just the audio. And it blew my mind in the way that she gave language to things that I always sort of like felt or thought about or experienced, but had never heard spoken by somebody. So she talks about the chispa, and in Spanish, the chispa is the spark. It's the flame. It's like in some ways it can be the ember that may be a little dormant, that keeps the fire alive, that is just almost waiting to be stoked. So when you think about, for this energy on the full moon, what were some of the seeds back in springtime with those new moons in Aries that now maybe have been stoked a little bit, that maybe have been given a little energy, that have been given some nourishment, that have been given some focus or attention, that then with that spark, what can start to, what does that spark then open up and lead to? And so Aries is it's almost the ability to take action on your passion, to feel that, and then act. Fire signs a lot of time like that gives us the energy to act. And I brought I was gonna have some of my here it is. Okay, some props. Just to really illustrate and highlight, is like Aries is the fire starter. So it is the match. It's what lights the spark. And then that spark lights and the match goes out. So what then is needed there to sustain whatever is like the enthusiasm or the excitement, or like, here's the idea, and there's a lot of energy with it, to really notice that, and then notice like what can come in to carry that through and sustain that, so it does not burn out, that it's not like hot and fast and go and then drop and then like lose steam almost. So these are just some things to reflect on, that the creative fire. So what helps to spark, but also what helps to sustain, to carry forward. Aries, again, because it's associated with the springtime, and now when we get the full moon, there's more of a moving towards a culmination. In the springtime, like with wildflowers, here's this sort of the energy of life coming back to life. And some of the early, like the fires, yeah, hopefully not in springtime, the wildflowers that actually can make that sense of the red. There's one that goes by different names here in California. Sometimes it's paintbrush or Indian paintbrush or prairie fire. I think it's in the snapdragon family. It can just cover a field and it's lit on fire with this red glowing flower. So it's a great flower to work with when you are looking for inspiration to act, connection to your passion, that spark that then gives the seed, like some seeds that will just stay encased and closed, that actually need fire and need heat to begin to open so that life can come out. Okay. There's also the connection to a sense of self, a sense of identity, a sense of individuality, and the me. So in the relationship with Libra and Aries, there's the me of Aries and the we of Libra. And both of those are necessary for us to be in relationship with ourself as an individual. Who am I? And with others, who am I in relationship? What do I bring to relationships? How am I a part of I'll share the image, because I'm like, images are coming to mind. I'm like, how do I give this language to speak about? The image for Libra then is like, this is sort of the center of the Vesica Pisces, of the two overlapping circles. So if each of those circles is an individual, is a self, that place of overlap that creates that third place, that of the relationship, that isn't just one or the other, but there's something that's shared. So Aries and Libra then are in this dynamic relationship. I will say that we're soon to enter into the period of eclipses that will, the nodes, so the places where eclipses happen, are moving into and will be in Libra and Aries for the next about year and a half. So it's going to then highlight everything that I've described, especially about Aries, but also I'll share more at the new moon in Libra. We'll highlight some of these themes, like both with Aries, how can I stand my own? Like, how can I be not afraid to be me and to express, and to put myself first, even possibly sometimes, and how those themes, and again, with eclipses and with anything that is traveling through Aries, it just brings up to the surface some of these themes that may be really highlighted to work on and to see what needs tuning, what needs some adjusting around. How do I really feel about putting myself out there and being me as an individual, balanced with how am I in relationship, and how am I able to not just have it my way, and not just only see things through my eyes, but also to see things through, to have the perspective of the other, the self and not self, the me and not me, the I give this kind of gesture of what's me, what's mine, what's somebody else's, and then where is that kind of overlap of the shared space. Okay, well, I hope you have enjoyed this this little journey through the elemental, energetic experience of Aries. See how it is you experience this energy in your life. You may have planets in Aries. It may be really dominant, or it may be something that, since all of the 12 signs of the zodiac are archetypal energies that we can experience at different times in our life. There may be different kinds of lessons that we're learning with each one. We don't need to have the sun sign or moon sign or whatever to be in relationship with this, with Aries or with any of the signs. I'm just looking at my notes to see if there's anything else that I might want to add. Again, with Aries being a fire sign, notice if your fire, I'm saying your fire, I'll describe that in a moment, is in balance, out of balance, too much, too little. The digestive fire, that could be very slow or could be very hot. So whether or not there's like the invitation to bring more fire in might be good for some people to really stoke the ember for that chispa, the creative spark. And for others, it may be fire leads, it's the kind of experience of like inflammation. It's where passion turns to an anger that is consuming, rather than a kind of passion and energy that could be expressed as anger that is transformative. So it's kind of, how is fire dancing in your life right now? Thank you so much for being here. May we all tend to our creative fires, both for ourselves as individuals and for ourselves as interdependent and in relationship with all of life.